Hey, folks, welcome to the program. It's not technically the program yet. We're just kind of building up to it. We got 4 minutes and 20 seconds before we go live. So welcome to the program, everybody hanging out there in the wings, especially over. I've mostly got, well, I can't say that anymore. With the new system now, I can see both the YouTube and the Facebook comments that come into the program. And so you can join the chat room here in the YouTube channel, which is fine if that's where you've always been. You can also go over to Facebook and go to the Odyssey Radio Facebook page, and you can see the show there as well and join the chat room there if you prefer Facebook. And you can also go listen to the audio on the show. If you don't have time to join the chat room or watch the video, go on over to odysseyradio.com and join the audio stream. Now tonight, because I tend to talk way too close to the cutoff points and the come-in points and all of that, I'm going to, we'll go dark and blank for about the last 30 seconds before the show officially starts. So when you see me go dark, I'll give you the high sign and we'll get out of here and you'll know it when it happens. Hey, everybody. And Matthew Sainsbury, good to see you. Saw your messages. We'll get you another time. Susie Q, good to see you. And Barbie D, glad that you could be here. And folks, pardon my cough tonight. I only said that because I felt it coming. I have to handle my cough button a little differently on this system, the way we're set up. Oh, here, I got to start the actual, and I got to have my headset plugged in. I always remember that at the last minute, too, because I hear feedback. We still got a couple of minutes here. I got to turn this whole computer system around to get at the plug-in for the headset. There we go. All right. That back where it was. So there we go. The radio station will pick us up automatically when the show starts. And let's see. Can I hear myself in these? Hello. Testing. Yep, there I am. All right. So we know that's working. And Matthew Finn, good to see you, brother. Master Finn is in the chat room. Field Guy is here. And what time we got? 9:03:04. So we got to count out the seconds as we're leading up to going live. And I'm going to set that over there. My daughter, to be very nice to me, Rowan, cleaned off my desk today. Let me organize that for you. Oof. Can't find things. But that's the way it is. So you let him do it. Let's see. Keeping track. At 9:04 sharp and no seconds, we're going to go dark. So when we go dark, if somebody's here that didn't hear me say that and you're in the chat room, so he goes, hey, the broadcast stopped. Let them know what's going on. So we got about 10 seconds and we're going dark. All right. All right, you guys. So I got to go dark and go mute. All right. We'll be back in about 25 seconds. Stand by.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad, so he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Hey folks, welcome to the program. This is Scotty Roberts. You're listening to the Intrepid radio program right here on Odyssey Radio. That's odysseyradio.com. Remember, Odyssey, you can see it in the graphic if you're watching the video, is Odyssey Radio is spelled a little differently. It's ODYSY radio.com. So come on over, see all the goodness that's Odyssey Radio. Check out the lineup of shows over there. I'm sure you probably heard Rocky and Ron earlier this evening on Abnormal Realities. And if you haven't heard them, go check them out as well. I want to welcome all my guests over to the chat room. Folks, if you're just listening to the audio stream, or if you're over on Facebook and watching the audio visual over there, you can also come on over to the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts and join the chat room over there. And those of you who are in the chat room, why don't you go ahead and, if you're not a member of the channel, go ahead and first of all subscribe, and then you can become a member. You go see what the membership benefits are. There's 3 of them. So you can click on that, different levels where you can join. Yeah, it costs money, but that's just a little thing for the YouTube channel and for the chat room that's there. And we're going to get that bumped up again now that the show is starting our 2nd week in our relaunch over here on Odyssey Radio. And I want to thank all of you who stuck it out over the almost 6 months that we were off air. And, we weren't totally off air. Did a lot of other shows. We did a few shows here, a few Sunday shows and things like that. So Matthew Sainsbury says, hey, you did a book on Cambysis, Lost Persian Army. Well, we started a book. John Ward and I started writing that book. Our publisher, New Page Books, who published my book on the Nephilim, The Rise and Fall of the Nephilim. They published The Secret History of the Reptilians. And then they published John's and my book, The Exodus Reality. And we proposed doing The Lost Armies of Cambysis. And if you don't know that story, in 525 BCE, it was Cambysis launched a fleet and an army against Egypt and sacked Egypt and killed off the royal family of Egypt. And he mounted an army of 50,000 by the ancient numbers, or at least according to Herodotus, and started to head 500 miles out into the eastern desert to the oasis at Siwa. And this is where, by the way, it says that Cleopatra, and was it Cleopatra's buried there, or Alexander the Great? This is the little oasis out there in the middle of nowhere in the western desert. And and he met his death later by accidentally slicing open his carotid artery in his leg, dismounting from a horse and cutting it on his own sword. But he mounted this army of 50,000 men, and according to Herodotus, they just disappeared. A great sandstorm swept up, and engulfed his army. You can almost picture something like out of one of the Mummy movies, where the big face rises up out of the... I don't know if Herodotus was hinting that there was some act of the gods, but that army that he raised was never seen or heard of again for all of time since that time happened, 500 years BCE. And so it's a very interesting story. And there are some who think that that army dispersed after that, and they broke up and they went into the small towns and villages, and they just resettled there on those places along the way. Some of them went home. So there you go. That's what Matthew was referring to when he talked about Cambysis. So we started writing that book, and our publisher, New Page, thought it was a little too, it was kind of like the Star Trek's, the original series in 1966. Their original pilot episode with Jeffrey Hunter playing Captain Pike. The CBS censors said, this is too cerebral for the public mind, and they rejected it. But they gave them a rare opportunity, mostly because of Lucille Ball and Desilu Studios, to have another shot at it. And that's where William Shatner entered the picture as Captain Kirk for the second pilot, where no man has gone before. And so that's the way our book felt. Our publisher loved what we did with Exodus, loved my books, and they said, nah, this might be a little too cerebral. Let's not do this one. Why don't you do something like the 10 coolest places to travel in Egypt, or something like that, which we started even that book, and we just, John and I never got around to finishing that one. And so they never quite made it. So, CBS owns Star Trek Today. That's right. And I think it was originally CBS too. And then it went to Paramount. And I don't even know all the entanglements in there. Desilu, working through CBS, I believe, at the time in the 60s. So Rowan wanted to say hi tonight. I'm going to let her come on air for like a very brief moment. Oh, one brief shining moment. Hey, Ro, how you doing?
Fine.
What's up? What's on your mind? You wanted to come on tonight. You're live with millions of live listeners.
Because you should talk about me.
What would you like me to talk about you?
How perfect I am.
How perfect you
Yes.
are? Oh.
Like,
that would take some prep time.
Me?
So, no, I just have to get all the cool stuff about you all compiled. I can't remember. There's so much of it, I can't remember it off the top of my head. All right. Tell everybody good night. Say good night. I'm on spring break.
I'll be back soon.
Mom and
Get
Dad still make me
surgery
go to bed.
tomorrow.
So there's Mom over there blowing you kisses. Okay. Is your surgery tomorrow, actually?
I mean, Wednesday.
Wednesday. She got a little surgery on her ears. So,
And my throat.
and your
right?
throat.
And my sinuses.
And your sinuses. Did they find the brain to put in? I was curious.
Stop talking about yourself, Dad.
I'm just curious about these things. I'm the last to know anything ever. So yeah, she's got to have her ear and nasal stuff and all of that work done. So she had the tubes when she was a young child. And so now that she's 10, she's outgrown those, and they got to do some work on it. So that's on Wednesday. So that's all we got. Thanks for being here. Say goodnight to the audience.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you later. All right, guys. And Abby, that's exactly what I thought of. That's if you go look up my older daughters, Abby and Bryn, on like Instagram, Abby's moniker over there is Abby Normal. Matt Finn, that's where that came from. We had friends, and I believe it was Ruben Fasthorse, that when Abby and Bryn were like 8 or 9 years old, he gave that little nickname to Abby, as far as I remember, and it stuck. Now, she may have heard it other places too, but we used to tease her with that one. Abby Normal. So, what brain did you get? Abby something. Abby something? Abby Normal. If you don't know what that's from, folks, you need to brush up your Shakespeare. So, yes, Matt Finn is the first mate. That's right. Barbie D, good to see you. I'm glad that you got in here nice and early tonight. I saw that. And Barbie D says, good luck to Rowan on her surgery. Thank you. And hopefully get that all straightened out. It's just young people things, the little person things, tubes and ears, adenoids, whatever, sinuses, this, that, the other thing. So that's going to be good. Now, Rainey and I have been sick like dogs for the last week. Rainey a little longer than that. So hopefully my voice holds out tonight. It's been one of those that the cough is something that there's nothing there. It's one of those, it's not COVID. It's chest cold and our throats. I feel like my tonsils are going to explode. I still have my tonsils at age 61. And but every time I take a wrong breath or something, I think my lungs are going to explode, but it doesn't do anything. It just makes you wheeze and cough. So that's the way we've been lately, and a little nauseous earlier today. Not that you need to know that, but that's going around, I guess, at least up here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Wisconsin, western Wisconsin area. So, and so how's everybody tonight? So glad that you're here. We got a lot to cover. I was going to read you a little good night story tonight. I was going to read The Dark for you, but I can't find it. The book has disappeared since I last saw it a few days ago. So, because I thought that it was a really good book, and I think we may have read that once before a couple of years ago on this show. But it's a good book about the dark, written by the guy, the Lemony Snicket guy who wrote the series of Unfortunate Events books that my kids were into back when they were 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that. And they made a TV series out of it done on Netflix or something like that. And so he wrote this book about the dark. Little boy who was afraid of the dark. And so good stuff. Hey, Paige, how you doing? Good to see you tonight. And Matthew Sainsbury and Sarah Yusuf and Field Guy and who's coughing over there, and Barbie D and Master Finn and everybody else who's in there. Thank you for being here tonight. Thanks for taking your time to be here and come into this show. And I could use my cough button, but it's not really a button tonight. I just have to I got to turn the volume back up. And so every time I cough, I got to do that. So sometimes you just skip it. We're all familiar enough with each other. I'll just cough on you. So tonight, I'm going to continue the little series we started last week on that self-esteem stuff. Now, that's not so paranormal. That's not so ufological. That's not so cryptological. That's not so mysterious, or earth mysteries, or earth religions, or science, or biblical mysteries, religious mysteries, things like that. But it is something I think that we all deal with. And I love this show, our ability to go from talking about ghosts one night to talk about psychology the next night, talk about archaeology and history the next night. And speaking of archaeology and history, if you have not yet gone over to my Kickstarter page, please do. I know somebody out there can post it. I can also grab the link. I've got it right here. I'm going to copy it and paste it into the chat room. And yeah, is this a big advertisement? Yeah, kind of. Those of you in the chat room, I think it'll post also over in the Facebook page. That is the link to the Kickstarter. Now, why am I harping on the Kickstarter so much? Because if I don't, nobody will. And it'll just die a quiet death. It'll turn into dust on the interwebs and disappear. And so this is our little effort to show our publisher that there are people out there not only interested in just the book, but in seeing this kind of book created and this kind of thing perpetuated. It's showing them the interest level that's out there. Now, of course, in a world where we've got a $30 thing in a million different places where we could put our hard-earned money, sometimes it's hard to know what to do. Sometimes people are just like, I'll wait till the end and I'll pitch in at the end. And the reason I keep asking people, don't wait till the end, because you know what people need to see when they come to our Kickstarter page? That there's interest in it. If they see a low number and a low number of contributors to that effort, they pass it by. And keep in mind, too, if you make a pledge, you don't have to pay for it tonight. It doesn't come out of your account tonight. It comes out if we make the goal at the end. So, which is only now 9 days away. So a little over a week, a little less than 10 days. And this campaign is over. And we're only about 13 to 14% of the way to the end. Now, these things have a way to snowball at the end. I've seen a lot of those happen. Everything starts coming in the last week. And it leaves creators like me sitting on pins and needles for the first 3 weeks going, is anybody even going to do this? Everybody says they like my work. Everybody says they like my books. Everybody says they like my art. Everybody says I want that book, but you get 13 people that order it. Like, I know thousands of people. So anyway, we've got 36 contributors as of right now. Some of them are the little higher ones. Now you can just go get the book, $30. That's what that costs to pre-order your book. Then there's different levels. A book with a bookmark that we specially made, a book with a bookmark and a tumbler that we specially have made, a book with a bookmark and a tumbler and autographed, a book with all that stuff, and then a signed color print from the book, and so on and so on and so on up the line. And then there are levels for people who maybe have a little bit of extra and they want to see this thing perpetuated and go on and on and on with the publisher. There are high levels of dollar contributions over there, too. So you can go look them over. So I make a big point out of this and spend a lot of time on it because right now, radio isn't my career. This isn't the stuff that keeps the roof over our heads. You know, it keeps the roof over our heads? Writing books, illustrating books, logo design, creative activity, all of that. I do this because I love it. If radio was my living, that's all I would do. And the other stuff would be, I do my art for my fun and hobby. Right now, it's also my profession. So that's why I harp as strongly and loudly and as often as I do on the book. If you hear the screaming in the background, because I hear it in my headset, which means you can probably hear it, even though the door's closed, that's my little girl making, not Rowan, the other one, fighting. So there you go. So if you can't pick up a book, I understand that. Do me a favor and share it to everybody you know. Say, hey, go pick up this book. And I know the author. I know the illustrator. It's a good book. So that's all I'll say on that. Go check it out. There's that link. I'll post it one more time in the chat rooms. You can go over and click on that link. Help us get that book to a place where it's published and paid for. And we'd appreciate it. And then you'll get a good book out of it. And a good book and maybe some other things as well. And so now, since I don't have the dark in front of me, and I could not for the life of me locate it, I can't read that for you tonight. I wanted to read that. I thought that was going to be a really cool story. I'll try to find it, and we'll have it for tomorrow, because I think that you'll really enjoy that if you haven't heard it before. And it really is, it's a great little book that deals with some really kind of deep psychology of kids that are afraid of the dark. Maybe even adults that are afraid of the dark. Were you afraid of the dark when you were a kid? I was deathly afraid of the dark. And you may have heard me talk about this on different occasions, but I had an evening paper route with the Minneapolis Star paper, which is very fitting nowadays. Play on words. And with the evening paper came the morning Sunday paper. And we'd have to get up about 3 a.m. and go down to the paper shack, pick up all of our papers in the different sections, collate them. You had a newspaper that was about 5 inches thick, and throw them in a big cart, a steel cart on 2 wheels that you dragged behind you, or you'd put it behind, you rigged it up to your bike and dragged it around, all these papers. And, I had about 50 papers to deliver, and Those were heavy when you had 50 of them that thick. And so I'd go out at 3 a.m. And of course, we were kids, 9 and 10 years old. I think by the time I was 11, I was out of doing newspapers. And so I was about 10 years old when I was doing this in 5th grade, somewhere right in there in 6th grade. And I'd make about a whole $28 a month, if I remember right, which was big money back then. But I would get up and I was deathly afraid of the dark. But we'd stay up. My buddies and I had their own paper routes. We'd stay up and watch all the horror films at midnight on, I think it was Channel 11 here local in Minneapolis. And Leslie Holker, if you're out there, you might remember Horror Incorporated on Saturday nights. And it was just a little local thing as far as I knew. And they would play old black and white, The Wolfman, The Creature of the Black from the Black Lagoon, and every other B-rated black and white film from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s that were horror films. So we'd fill our minds with that stuff, and then we'd go do our paper routes. And if I didn't have somebody hanging out with me that night, I had to go walk to the paper shack by myself. I'd go out the back door of the house, and it was pitch black. We lived on a corner lot, and the back door faced dark of the corner. And my paper route cart was right there. And I'd jump off the stoop. I'd grab that paper cart and I'd run through the side yard out to the street to the lamplight where there was safety. That 20, 30-foot circle of yellow incandescence that would protect you from the horrors of the dark and the night. And then I would look at the lamp down at the next corner down the street. And I would close my eyes, and with this big heavy metal cart behind me, run with all I had for the next lamppost so I could get into the next circle of light and where I'd have more safety. Well, hi, Ellie.
Hi.
Hey, that's beautiful eye makeup you have on. Did you do that yourself? No? What do you got? Oh, Ellie wanted me to show you this. You can't see it if you're not in the chat room. That's her picture of a pot of gold and a rainbow and a leprechaun. So she did this I wanted you to see, look at that pot of gold. Look at the shading around the coins. That I thought was spectacular for 7 years old. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that tonight. Say goodnight to everybody. Bye.
Bye.
I love you. See ya. So there you go. That's for those of you not used to this show. It has been several years my kids create what I call familial interludes. Now, I like it when my wife comes over and crushes me to her bosom and gives me a kiss on the cheek or whatever. And I can pat her butt. But then I've got my small children who like to come over and just sometimes be obnoxious. We had a talk about the obnoxious factor. So they came over and I thought they were very good tonight. So it was nice to have them in and say hi. So I would run from street lamp to street lamp because I was afraid of the dark. And I was so afraid of the dark, I would always sleep with my lights on. I sleep with a light on now, but that's because I'm too lazy to get up and turn it off. Just a little lamp at the corner. Rainey loves it pitch black. So I have to always turn out the lights for her. That's something of my life that changed. There were two things that changed when I met my wife and we became a thing. I liked having a little light on in the bedroom, and I liked having my fan on for the white noise. Even in the dead of winter, 30 below zero outside, I would run that fan in the corner because I liked the white noise. I had to end both of those if I wanted to keep my wife. So there you go. Let's see. I'm just looking at the chat room. Isby, nice to have you. I'm emailing you, Scotty Roberts. I love you, brother. Well, thank you. I love you right back. Thank you. And that sounds so superficial when I said it like that on the radio, but what am I going to do? Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. And let's see. I hate the dark, says Matthew Sainsbury. I don't mind it. I don't like the dark when it's all encompassing, when it's thick darkness and you have no way, you can't even see your hand in front of your face. That's a different kind of dark. I don't like it or hate it. I don't enjoy it. There's nothing about it that's enjoyable. If I got to fumble my way around, need to have a light. I don't mind the dark. I don't mind going into dark places if I need to. When we do paranormal investigating, there's times it's dark and you're creeped out by that. And I'm like, I am not a firm believer that I have to do everything in the dark when I investigate paranormally. Same with Rainey. It's like, turn on your flashlight. And we don't need to stumble around in here, accidentally fall down a set of stairs or bang your head on a pipe. It's unnecessary. Ghosts haunt you in the light, too. So we have ourselves convinced they only haunt us in the dark. So what else we got going on before we get into our topic? It's now 9:31. Maybe I should just jump right into our topic, huh? Let me hit this mute button. There you go. You didn't even hear that. How about that? And so I have this wheezy cough right now that I can't wait till it's gone. It's going to be probably a couple weeks before I see the end of this at the rate it's going. Rainey's a week ahead of me on hers, and she's still got a cough. So did I see Ryan Gale in there? Ahoy, matey. Ahoy, arr. Swab the decks. Ryan Gale's here. So, hi, what can I do for you over there in the wings? What you up to? What do you got a pole in your mouth for? Gross. Ick. What's that from? Under Mom's desk? Yeah, that's where I belong. Okay, bye. See ya. I love you. See ya. Bye, small child. All right. Let's kind of get into where we kind of left off with this. I think this is a good topic. It's not going to satisfy your paranormal bone. One might say, you want to leave my bone out of this, paranormal or not? It might not satisfy that, but I think it's a good topic. When I choose these psychological topics to talk about, it's because I think that they are all things that we think about or things that we need to talk about. When we talk about that whole self-esteem issue, remember I said you got to learn to trust yourself. You got to learn to trust the way you think. You've got to learn to trust your own thoughts on things. If you have low self-esteem, you're not going to trust the way you think. And then, therefore, nobody else is going to trust the way you think. You put out, what you put out is what you get back. And so we kind of worked our way up to the issue of love and self-esteem. And self-esteem, again, an overused term, I think, becomes a caricature of itself after a while. But you know what I mean? Self-love and all of that. I think there's a different factor to this than we've been taught to believe with the psychobabbly gobbledygook that's out there. So it's not really difficult to see the importance of self-esteem to success in the arena of intimate relationships. It's necessary. When you have an intimate relationship, the way you feel about yourself is the way what you're going to project onto that relationship. And that's what you're going to get back, or that's what you're going to draw to yourself in the relationship realm. So there's no greater barrier to romantic happiness than the fear that I'm undeserving of love and that my destiny is to be hurt. It's my destiny to be hurt. I deserve to be spat upon. I deserve to be walked on like a mat at the front door. So such fears like this give birth to all the self-fulfilling prophecies that can come along with them. If I enjoy a fundamental sense of efficacy, self-worth, value, there's value to this, to me, and I experience myself as a lovable person, then I have a foundation for appreciating and loving others. It's the same thing that happens when we would talk about being awake, being aware, and manifesting your reality. The things that you want are the things that you manifest and you put your energy into. Why do I have friends? Because I manifest being friendly. I manifest putting myself out there. I manifest being confident about who I am. When I met Rainey, I thought, not a chance in hell. I knew I was something like 20 years older than her, and I thought, wow, that's stupid anyway. I shouldn't do that. But I was a young, vivacious, vital, good-looking, handsome 20 years older than her. Right, Rainey? Yep, she said. She yelled from the other room. Yep. So, I think my child agreed with her. And so you put that out there and you attract what you put out. If you put out, I'm not worthy of that, you're not going to get it. If you put out, this is too dumb for me, I can't do this, this person's way out of my league, you know what? They're going to remain out of your league. And so if I enjoy a fundamental sense, this fundamental sense of efficacy and worth about myself, and I experience myself as lovable, then I have a foundation for appreciating and loving other people. And the relationship of love, see, I tell a lot of people I love them. And Rainey said to me when she says, how come why do you say you love that person? I go, well, because I do. Not the same kind of love for my wife, but she's not that way. She doesn't put herself out like that to other people. I tended to always be that way. It's very outgoing. Now, maybe you might say, well, maybe that's a character flaw. Maybe you have some kind of societal disease that you need to go out there and make yourself lovable to other people by showing them how much you love them. And that's filling your gaps where you're missing something in life. I see it differently than that. Some people could perceive it that way. The relationship of love feels natural. It's benevolence. It's caring. Caring feels natural. If you've got to push yourself to care for somebody, you probably don't care about them. If you've got to push yourself to love somebody, you know what? That other person's going to feel that. And it's not going to last. So that you can tell when somebody has to put on the show. And if you have to put on the show, you should already know that about yourself. And you should reevaluate where you are. And of course, then we get ourselves into situations where the reevaluation might be something that's necessary that we have to do. To reevaluate, reconnoiter, regroup, and figure out how we're doing what we're doing. So I have a kind of emotional surplus that I can channel into loving. Happiness doesn't make me anxious. Confidence in my competence and my worth. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have questions. You should hear all the times I say to Rainey, I say, oh, think anybody's going to buy this? You know, the way I'm talking. Is anybody going to buy what I'm saying? Is anybody going to care or give a good damn about what I'm saying? Did I word this right? Did I draw that right? Will you look at this and check the color? Will you do this for me? I constantly rely on Rainey for that stuff. Is it because I lack confidence? No. It's because I sometimes want a second opinion. Sometimes I want to rely on her. You're on the outside of me. What am I projecting? What are you getting from me? And many times she'll come back with an honest answer. Say, you're coming across like a dick. You go, well, I'm not trying to be a dick. And she said, well, here's where you need to meet her that. So the relationship of love feels natural. You feel it. It's a natural thing for you. It comes out of you, of who you are, who you really are. Loving others comes out of that. It feels natural. It's benevolent. It's caring. It feels natural. And you sometimes have to give. You've got something to give to other people, something to give of yourself out there. And you know it. It's like, I look at this and don't think I'm too cocky. But the reason I do this radio show, I think I have something to offer. Rainey's over there mocking me. And yeah, it's that way. It's when I share intimate moments with my wife, it's because I'm like, hey, Rainey, I've got something to offer you. And for those of you old enough as I am, you'll know who Ted Baxter was. That was my best Ted Baxter. So if you know who that is, just let me know. If you don't, we'll move on from that. So it's nice having a peanut gallery over there. And by the way, those of you local, I do have seating right over here on the other side of my desk. For everybody that wants to come out, be part of the show, we'll set up another mic, and you can come on the show and be with me. Be part of the peanut gallery. Ted Knight, there you go, field guy. That's right. That's right, Mary. And so all of, yes, Rainey?
We need a 24-hour notice so we can actually clean the house before anybody comes in.
Oh, yeah. Rainey just said from the peanut gallery, if you're going to come over, we got to have 24-hour notice so we can actually clean the room. That's I had a friend come over the other day, one of our old neighbors. I did that commissioned piece, if you saw it in my social media, of the Gladiator for the critic. It's not the critic who counts. And we were sick, and the house was a disaster. Not because Rainey and I don't know how to keep house. It's because we got 3 kids who don't. And they don't pick up after themselves. And we're constantly, that's half our lives are spent either bent over, picking shit up off the floor, or yelling at our kids, will you pick up after yourself, please? It's not mom and dad's job to pick up your stuff. It's your job. So anyway. So yeah, if you're going to come over, watch the show, give us a 24-hour notice at least, so we can make sure it's vacuumed there, that there's not kids' underwear from the laundry all laying on the sofa, like when my friend came over the other day to pick up his art, and we stood down here for a good half hour, 45 minutes talking, he and Rainey and I, but that's because there was nowhere to sit. The sofa was full of laundry, which comes out of the laundry room over there back behind the studio. So blah, blah, blah. There you go. All right. So, where was I here? Got to have confidence in my own competence and my own worth when it comes to love. Confidence in your ability to see and appreciate who you are. That gives birth to these self-fulfilling prophecies as well. So if I lack respect for and enjoyment of who I am, I have very little to give to anybody. There's no greater barrier to romantic happiness than the fear that I am undeserving of the love I'm trying to get, and that my destiny is to be hurt. I don't appreciate, I tend to see other people essentially as sources of approval or disapproval, and so should you. It's how we see people. I don't appreciate them for who they are in their own right. I see only what they can or cannot do for me. That's in that unfulfilled needs category. My emotional impoverishment, you could say. And I see only what they cannot do for me. And I'm not looking for people who I can admire and with whom I can share the excitement and adventure of my life. I'm looking for people who, when I'm doing this in an unhealthy way, either approve or disapprove of me. And I'm looking for the people who will not condemn me. You ever been there? I'm going to look for the person to date or to hang with that doesn't condemn me for who I am. And perhaps will be impressed by my persona, what I put out there, my sparkling grill, whatever it is, the face I present to the world. My ability to love remains undeveloped. And this is one of the reasons why attempts at relationship so often fail and fall miserably on their faces. Not because the vision of passionate or romantic love is intrinsically irrational, but because the self-esteem needed to support it is absent. It's not there. I know, like I say, first time I saw Rainey walk through the Dubliner pub, I knew who she was. I didn't really know her, and I think I called her Renee, and she probably even forgot that because it was just superficial passing. She was absolutely unbelievably gorgeous, walking through that little pub with her friend Kat. And she walked by me, and I think my friend Jeff was there, and Nate, and she walked by me, and I was like, hi, Renee. She's like, hi. And it moved on. But it's not that there was probably no passing interest at all. It's just that I didn't impress her at all. And I tucked my tail between my legs after that because I didn't elicit the response I thought I should get, which is like, wow, I love you. I don't know your name, but take me to your bed now. That's what I expected, but it didn't happen that way. And so we have these things, we try to impress people with who we are. And so that's when our love for somebody or something remains undeveloped. And this is one of the reasons why attempts at relationships so often fail. It's because the self-esteem needed to support it is absent. So we've all heard the observation: if you do not love yourself, you will be unable to love others. That's the observation. And that's the oft-touted, repeated line that is out there about loving somebody and being loved. Less well understood is the other half of that story. If I do not feel lovable in myself, it's very difficult to believe that someone else or anyone else can love me. We put out the superficial. You could have somebody, now she would never say this of herself. I'm just using her as an example. You could have somebody like my wife, Rainey. Outwardly, absolutely gorgeous. And she might be able to rely on the fact when she was single and looking that people would be attracted to that. What she might not have been strong, and I'm not saying this is the way she was, I'm saying this is using it as an example. You can look good outwardly and maybe expect that that outward is going to attract somebody, but what really matters is what's inward. You could attract somebody for a night or two or maybe even a week, and then they're gone because they got what they wanted. And it might be because you're not putting out what you want to have, putting yourself first. And this is what I'm doing. These are the observations here. If I don't feel lovable in myself, it's difficult to believe that anyone else can love me. And if I don't accept myself, how can I accept yours or anybody else's love for me if I don't accept the love of myself? If I don't accept myself, how can I accept your love for me? Your warmth, your devotion are confusing when I don't love myself. It confounds my self-concept. I almost said contempt, which would probably fit too. My own self-loathing or self-contempt, my own view of who I really am. When you have somebody that says, I got up and I made this coffee for you and I cleaned the kitchen at 5 a.m. because I want you to wake up to a clean kitchen. And you're like, yeah, right. Nobody does that. People do that.
Scotty does.
Scotty does. Do you feel loved?
Except I don't drink coffee anymore. Yeah.
She doesn't drink coffee anymore. That's the sad thing.
And I tell everybody you clean the kitchen.
You do.
I do.
You do. And I do that for my wife, and I've done it for a long time because why? I have what goes on in the back of my mind is I want my wife to get up in the morning and not see the mess from last night's dishes. I want her to see a clean counter. I want her to see a pot of coffee ready for her and stuff like that. I do that. That's the way I love because I expect that of myself. And you know what? You know why I could make her coffee? Because I made myself coffee every day. I loved myself that much. I made my coffee every morning. And I wanted my wife to enjoy that. So all of this, the warmth, the devotion, can be confusing to somebody who doesn't love themselves. And if I don't feel lovable, your love for me becomes an effort to fill a sieve, which just drains out. And eventually the effort's likely to exhaust the hell out of you. Trying to love me if I don't know how to accept it, if I don't feel lovable. So even if I consciously disown my feelings of being unlovable, even if I insist that I am wonderful, the poor self-concept remains deep within to undermine my attempts at relationships. And unwittingly, I become a saboteur of love. There's a song in there somewhere. A saboteur of love. Hey, David Castle, I just saw you pop in. Good to see you. Isby, you love yourself. I believe that. Hey, brother Sean, GT sucks. Sean Stroik, good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. And everybody else who's wandered in that I haven't said hi to tonight. And so if I don't feel lovable, your love for me becomes an effort to fill a sieve, a pot full of holes. And I attempt love, but the foundation of inner security is not there. Instead, there's this secret fear that I'm destined only for the pain. So I pick someone who inevitably will reject or abandon me. In the beginning, I pretend I don't know this, so the drama can be played out. We do this. We play these games with our lives. And folks, we don't have that many years. When you add them all, look at me, I'm 61 years old already. I was just 15. Goes too fast. But we pick somebody who inevitably will reject or abandon us. Or if I pick someone with whom happiness might be possible, I subvert that relationship. I sabotage it by demanding excessive reassurances. You sure you love me? And by venting irrational possessiveness, by making catastrophes of small frictions, by seeking to control through subversiveness or subservience or domination of the other person, by finding ways to reject my partner before my partner can reject me. And so a few vignettes will convey how poor self-esteem shows up in the area of the intimately personal. And I'm just checking the clock. We've got about 4 minutes of this show left, guys, before we got to boogie out of here. So why do I always fall for Mr. Wrong? A woman in therapy might ask. Her father abandoned the family when she was 7, and on more than one occasion, her mother had screamed at her, "If you weren't so much trouble, maybe your father wouldn't have left us." As an adult, she knows that her fate is to be abandoned. She knows that she doesn't deserve love. Yet she longs for a relationship with a man, and the conflict is resolved by selecting men, often married men, who clearly don't care for her in a way that would sustain her for any length of time. And so she's proving that her tragic sense of life is justified. So when we know we are doomed, we behave in ways to make reality to conform to our knowledge. I'm doomed, so everything around me, I got to make it fit. We're anxious when there's dissonance between our knowledge and the perceivable facts. And since our knowledge isn't to be doubted or questioned, it's the facts that have to be altered. Hence, self-sabotage. We throw the wrench in the gears so it doesn't actually get anywhere. We sometimes do this without even knowing we're doing it. A man falls in love. The woman returns his feelings and they marry, but nothing she can do is ever enough to make him feel love for longer than the moment. He's insatiable. However, she's so committed to him that she perseveres. And when at last she convinces him that she really loves him and he's no longer able to doubt it, he begins to wonder whether he set his standards too low. He wonders whether she's really good enough for him. And eventually he leaves her, falls in love with another woman, and the dance begins all over again. If you're not one of these scenarios, you've recognized them. There's more of them. We just don't have time to do them all tonight. We'll get to them again tomorrow. If we're on this subject again tomorrow night, we might skip a night. So everyone knows the famous Groucho Marx joke that he would never join a club that would have him for a member. I'll never join a club that'll have me for a member. And that's exactly the idea by which some low self-esteem people operate their love life. If you love me, obviously you're not good enough for me. And only someone who will reject me is an acceptable object of my devotion. So we got to kind of leave off on that, or we're going to run out of time. We'll pick this up again, either next time or the time after that. We'll see what's going on. We got about a minute left of this show. And so I would say, we'll cut out of here in just a few seconds. So we make the time cutoff for radio. And so at the top of the hour, the top of the minute, which is about 20 seconds, we'll be gone. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for giving me your time, for being here. We'll be back 23-hour break, and we'll be right back. So you know what, you guys? All of you hang tight, and we'll see you again tomorrow night. Thanks for being here, and live long and prosper.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
All right, guys, we're back. This is the after show. It'll only last a few minutes tonight. We're not going to go too long tonight. And there, I got my headset undone. Maybe even Rainey will make an appearance. She might even wander over here and say hi. My expectations are very high that she loves me enough to wander into this show tonight.
Your expectations are too high.
Too high, she said. Scotty After Dark. I like that one. That's the best one yet, field guy. Scotty After Dark. You know that little book I wanted to read to you tonight? Takes about 15 minutes to read tops. Called The Dark. I love the little boy in that. Hey, Dark. How you doing, Dark? So, Scotch and cookies time, says Grumpy Stack. Yeah, that'd be nice. Maybe a little scotch on my throat would be nice. Somebody gave me a recipe the other night, and I forgot it already. So, Barbie D, after party. We're not going to go long tonight. Some nights we've gone, I think we went a half hour, 45 minutes the first night. So we don't have to go that long and do that much. And by the way, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to cut off the audio recording, which I record this show so we can put it up for the archives over at this show. If you missed it tonight and you're watching, we play the audio over as an encore performance over on Odyssey Radio the next morning at 9 o'clock. And I think it may play another time throughout the day. I don't know for sure. So, but then this show cuts in live at 9 p.m. tomorrow night again. So let's see what all's going on here. Didn't refer much to the chat room tonight. Let me take a look. Hey, Michelle Canham Free. Good to see you. Nice to have you here. Who else we got? Schools are closed here tomorrow due to possible tornadoes. Nice. You know, guys, Doug, down there in Louisiana, why do you live there? The whole time I was there, it was because of 2 hurricanes. Then there was another hurricane last year, and now you got tornado season. You guys are always batting down the hatches. You need to go to a more moderate climate, I think. So Here, I'm going to turn my light up a bit. My screen light, so I can read a little better. What else we got going on here? Let me just look through. Fig Newtons, says Michelle Cannon-Free. I don't know who you were talking to, but Fig Newtons and Scotch. Yeah, baby. It's my language. That's the language of love. That's the power of love. What was that? That's Huey Lewis from, we're talking about Back to the Future last night. My young daughter never saw that. Well, why is it called Back to the Future? How can you go back to the future? I had to explain it. So, greetings and favor to you, Dave Potter, said Dave Castle. Dave Potter's here. How you doing, Dave? Good to see you, Uncle Dave Potter.
I have a puzzle for us.
A puzzle?
I have a puzzle for me and Dave.
Oh, Rainey's got you two a puzzle. She got you a puzzle, Uncle Dave. She got to come over and make a puzzle with Rainey, because I don't love my wife that way. I don't do puzzles. So she's got to find it out on the streets with somebody else. Excuse me, do you do puzzles? I got a puzzle. So, let's see. What else? I'm just going backwards in the chat room, looking to see if I missed anything really amazing. Love is very much a two-user input for me. I have all the love and respect, but it has to be mutual, in my opinion. Damn straight, brother. It's got to be mutual. So, like I say, the worst part of the horror when I think back of it, of ever coming close to losing Rainey in my life, was when I realized I didn't love her very well. I didn't love her the way she needed to be loved. I had to constantly work on that. It's a guy thing. Guys have to do that in different ways than women have to do that. So, there you are. Let's see. Potholes, said Field Guy. Yeah, that's a rite of passage here, potholes. So you can see I'm going backwards in the chat room. What else we got? Let's see. Some of this I saw. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tonight, everyone. So, and if you want to get one of the books, Sword and Clay, go over now. Sign up for it.
And
Share it. Even if you can't sign up for it and buy one tonight. And remember, you don't have to pay for it tonight. You just have to pledge it. You're going to have to eventually pay for it. But and we're sitting at 37 backers as of right now, out of the thousands of people I know that follow me, that like my work, and so on. I know money's tight, you know. But buying my book is only like a third of a tank of gas. So, or is it a quarter of a tank of gas now? How many of you have to pay more than $100 to fill your gas tank? Holy crap. So, but it's $30 to get your pre-ordered copy of the book. So go on over and do that if you haven't yet. And I would appreciate that. Grumpy pledged. He did. I better get my book and bookmark. You know what'll happen? If we don't make the goal, that all gets wiped out. Kickstarter is an all or nothing. Either we make the goal or we get nothing. And then we're back to square one. So in that case, nobody's charged anything. And we would probably have one of two things. Either the publisher will just fund the publishing of the book, or and then you'd have to buy it separately again, or I'd have to put it up on Amazon as a print on demand and push the book that way. So we'll see. Anyway, hopefully, I'm knocking on wood, trying to put it out there that this thing will be funded. So it's costing so much to fill the gas tank, it never gets to full. Ain't that the truth? The bank cuts the transaction off at 75. That's right. That's what they do now. You can go put your card on there and it'll say you can now put in $75. I think the last time I did that, it told me $90. But Rainey's the one out with the car all the time. I don't ever have to go anywhere. So it's rare that I've got to go anywhere for business. And so Rainey's the one who's always got to go to do massages, go run somewhere into town. She does her grocery shopping in town rather than out here because it's more expensive. So post the link so I can share it easily. I sure can, Carly. This is the link right here. Boom. It's in the chat room. Just grab that link and you can take that and go see. Is this show, by the way, are we still, Dave, Dave Potter, there's an after party tonight. I just saw his message to me. It's going on right now. And if you're there. So if you go to Odyssey Radio, are we still playing over at Odyssey Radio? Let me see. Odyssey Radio. I think it stops when the show stops, I believe. So, nope, it's still playing over there. So there's Odyssey Radio. My comments are all showing up. So you can go over to Odyssey Radio over on the Facebook channel, and you can join in over there. And so let me get back to StreamYard. There we go. And looking at the other chat room. Your chats don't show up over on Facebook. Only mine do. So, unless you're in Facebook. So, Dave Potter here. Are you listening to the show? So, I wonder if he pulled in when we were in the black out during the sign off. So, maybe. So, bada boom. There. Oh, there's Dave. How you doing, Dave Potter? That's how I found you. Is on Odyssey. Right. See, you spelled it wrong. You spelled it the right way. That's not the way to spell Odyssey Radio. ODYSY.com. Dave, I thought I tagged you. I put up a post every day for the show on my main page on Facebook. If you ever wonder where we are or if it's going on, it's Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. our time. You can always come over to the YouTube channel or just check my Facebook page, and you'll see the post there. Hey, Morgan Snow. She says, oh, great. Still on. Good evening, everyone. Okay, we got a whole lot of people. No offense at all to you, Morgan Snow. Whole lot of people come in after the show's over, and we're doing kind of the after show. Is there something else going on out there that I'm missing? So, and we're the afterthought. Here's my big lower lip. It's Dave. I am now, says Dave. Yes, you are, Uncle Dave. Matson says, hey, Matson. Matson. Matt Finn. His porn name is Matson. Dave Potter, I'm doing great. I'm fantastic. What's buzzing?
Rowan's phone.
Oh, is it over here? Rowan's phone is behind my computer on the corner of the desk. So.
Your phone's ringing. It's done now.
Let's see. Yeah, so tomorrow, do a nice nighttime story tomorrow. I'm going to find the book The Dark. You're going to enjoy it. And I don't think I have too much else to say tonight, frankly. I felt kind of crappy all day today because Rainey and I have been sick for a week. And
I've been sick for almost 3 weeks. Jeebus.
almost 3 weeks, says Rainey.
Kicking my ass, man.
Yeah. Yeah, her ass got kicked. And you go from chest cold, which is wheezy chest cold. It's not even, yes, Rainey, it's not even productive. You cough and it's not like, oh, I just coughed up a nice big lug. I got to go spit it out. It's not even that. You cough and you go, and you just wheeze. See, doing that made me cough again. There's nothing there. So we've had that, and then Rainey about a week ago lapsed into, I feel like I have the stomach flu now, and throwing up and all that stuff. One of the kids was throwing up before that. Two of the kids, Ellie and Flynn. And so maybe she picked it up from them and it treated them differently because they don't have the wheezy cough like we do. But there it is. So it's sick house over here. Today I got up at 5 normal time. I'd slept, I can tell you exactly how long I slept last night. This is pretty cool. This Fitbit I wear on my wrist monitors my sleep, amongst other things. And it's kind of cool because it can tell me what my sleep levels have been like. And so I like to look at that and see where I'm at. It's my Fitbit. So I hit this. Look at this. Last night. So there you go. Sunday, today, and then today. So now you can see it right there. It says today, which is last night, from 10:12 I went to bed last night. And I slept until 4:21 a.m. But I slept only 5 hours and 22 minutes of that. Now I was up at like 2 o'clock. I woke up and I'm like, I'm awake. I don't want to be awake. And so then this afternoon at 12:18, I had some lunch and I'm sitting watching a TV show. And I told Rainey, I said, I'm done. I feel absolutely exhausted. And I fell asleep for another almost 2.5 hours this afternoon. And so you think I'd be good to go. So in the last 24 hours, I've had it says here 6 hours and 1 minute of sleep. But this also breaks it down, which is pretty cool. If I click on right there, it tells me, right there from the 5 hours I had last night and 22 minutes, 47 of that minutes of that time, I was awake. Deep in REM, 55 minutes. So 10% of my sleep last night was REM. Restorative sleep, 1% below resting. Or 1% below resting, 10% restfulness. So the Fitbit's kind of cool. That's what I use it for the most, is to kind of track what my sleeping is doing. So I've gotten, this is kind of how I sleep. I've got 10 hours and 2 minutes. That was Saturday. I went from 12 a.m. to 11:35 a.m. Now, I didn't sleep solid during that time, but I was up and down, but I was sleeping basically for 10 hours. That's how this thing had wiped me out. But other nights, Friday, 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours, 16 minutes, 4 hours, 3 minutes, 58 minutes. So that's the way my sleep pattern goes. So, and it's even worse when I'm sick. So there you go. How's that for riveting radio? Good thing we're in the after show, huh? So, typical deep sleep is supposed to be 10%. That's good. I just don't others tracking me any more than they do. Now, Sean, you're talking about having like a Fitbit? I only use it because it's the only way I can track my sleep. Well, when you rest, Dad told me your body repairs itself. Yeah, that's true. Your body needs rest to repair itself. So it's not that we're sick all the time, it's we don't rest enough. So, Sarah Yusuf, have you gotten yourself tested for sleep apnea? I have, Sarah. But they tried to test me. They hooked me up with all the wires and junk and the mask and things. I can't wear that shit when I go to sleep. I just can't wear it. I got a couple hours into sleep and I was like, I just ripped it off. I told them I can't do this. I can't do this with this shit all over my face. Can't sleep that way. It's a claustrophobic thing. It's like if I roll over in my pillow and, like my pillow's halfway up and my warm breath hits the pillow, it wakes me up. I can't sleep. I got to clear it. It's claustrophobia. So I sleep well with a CPAP. This is Grumpy said. It's at the mask, like the face mask. You got a space helmet on to go to sleep. Just can't do it. You can use a cannula instead of a mask. Is that like a cannoli?
A cannula.
A cannula. It's like a tarantula? A cannula?
That little things that just go right around your mouth.
See, I had to wear those in the hospital. I hated them. So Isby says, what the fuck? I use earplugs and a fluffy mask, sleep mask, recreating the womb, I suppose. Is it fluffy inside the womb? I think of fluffy as being furry. Roger Rabbit says, going on 3 weeks of horrible broken sleep or no sleep. It's starting to take its toll on me. Brother, that's part of being woken up all night long through the middle of the night. Carly Sagan says, canola. Cannoli. Canola is the stuff you slip and slide around in. Cannoli is like a stuffed Italian pastry. So, if you remember the origins of that nickname. I need complete darkness to sleep, says Michelle Cannon-Free. I don't. I like that robe. This is Rowan's fluffy robe. And see, now I look at that and I go, that's fluffy. It's fluffy. So.
Very fluffy.
There's no school tomorrow. They're on spring break. So the kids are still awake watching TV in their bedroom.
Well, Ellery's watching Pupperdoodles. I was getting Mom set up on stage.
That could be done anytime. Pupperdoodles. So, wake up every night around 3 to 4 a.m. It's driving me nuts. Morgan Snow, me too. Every night. About the same time. Do you have a step-down ritual? I don't know if you're asking me, Sarah Yusuf, but I don't. Well, kind of. Maybe I do. I step down. No, not really. I guess. I can't do certain things. I don't want to keep the household awake. I want to keep my wife awake. So, I got a great ritual. Rainey, I got a great bedtime ritual.
Yeah, shut up.
Hey, honey, are you awake? I need to step down.
You're weird.
So, you have no idea. So, there you go. Not making fun of you, Sarah Yusuf. Just making fun of. But not you. Brian Parker, Tactical Sovereignty, says, Michelle Cannon-Free, bet that's cute. I love Sade, says Michelle Cannon-Free. Hey, Rowan, Uncle Dave says hello, and you should call me sometime. You should go call him. Go call him, see how he's doing. He wants you to talk to him.
Okay. Maybe. I'm tired.
Yeah. Rowan's usually the one who goes to sleep first. Even when I read books, out. So you don't know where the dark is?
No. We had a school voting at school of which book was the best, and the dark one.
You voted for the dark?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good book. I love reading that. That and The Ghost of Nicholas Grieb.
Or there was a book called Don't Hug Doug.
I like stories with substance. The Ghost of Nicholas Grieb is over there. You should go find it. It's sitting sideways. On, I think, the shelf at about this level. It's down over there. Might have to turn on the laundry room right because the way this house is put together, there's no light over there. Half this downstairs doesn't have lights in it. We got to have all these directional lights shining. So, but Isby, love you too. Great to have you here tonight. So, it's over there. Like sitting sideways. Well, it looks like I won't be reading you that one either tonight.
Not tonight. It's too late.
To read them a nighttime story on the radio? We're off radio now.
Oh, okay.
So, it's sitting sideways. You'll see it. Hardcover. So, if she finds it, we'll do a treat and I'll read you a nighttime story, folks. Takes about 12 minutes to read it. If she finds it. Of course, I could have her come over here and talk to you for a minute, and I'll find it, because I know right where it is. Give me your swords, says Grumpy Stack. Do you know how to use one? Do you know Dave Potter was the first one to teach me how to use a sword? He is a certified sword master. theatrical stuff. And so he taught me 20 plus years ago how to use a sword. Maybe almost 30 years ago. Mid 90s. Hang on a second. Don't go away. I'm going to go find this book. All right. You guys are in luck. I found a book. It's not the dark. I know how to use a short sword, says Doug Stack. Yeah, that's what Hope told me. Rainey said, so do you. Oh, me too, said Rainey. Rainey knows how to use a short sword. So, here's one of my favorite books. This was kind of Abby and Bryn's favorite book when they were growing up. And now it's like my kids have The Dark. And this one is was Abby and Bryn's favorite. And it's the only one I could get my hands on. But The Ghost of Nicholas Grieb. Do you remember this? I read this a couple of years ago on this radio show. This was one of my favorite ones. It's a picture book. I loved this guy's illustrations. It starts and he says, at the beginning, he says, in colonial times, quiet Massachusetts valleys, dark with trees, threaded with rivers, and often cloaked in fog, gave rise to thoughts of the supernatural. There were, among hidden hills, tales of haunts and ghosts abounded, tales such as this one. Now, here's the opening spread of the book. Look at this guy's artwork. There's the house, and there's the Massachusetts Valley. We're talking colonial times is where this book is set. So I love his artwork. And it starts toward year's end. Above a rambling farmhouse, the moon rose cold and still. It shone through a window and onto the bed within, where the farmer, Nicholas Grieb, lay sleeping. In the luminous gloom, precisely at midnight, the old man gave up the ghost. That is to say, he died. And I would always point out to my kids, you can see Nicholas Grieb in his window, dying in his bed. Boom, dead, gone. So Nicholas Grieb died. Now here's the next couple of pictures. You can see here. Flip the page, you're on this one. Where his family are going to go out and bury him, and there's his grave. And it says, the next day dawned exceedingly cold. Unfortunately, as we shall later see, his shivering family hurriedly dug a grave, buried him with a prayer, and hastened back to the warmth of the fire. Outside, beneath pewter skies, Nicholas Grieb was left to rest. A headstone with an angel marked his grave. You can see there's the headstone with the grave of Nicholas Grieb. The shallow grave because the ground was frozen and it was cold. So we flip the page. This is great, a nice 2-page spread on this one, similar to the first one. You can see the road outside of Nicholas Grieb's house and the snow and the moon. And look at, there's a dog. What's that dog doing by the light of the moon? It says, 1 year later, to the very day, the family gathered at the farm. Everyone feasted and toasted the departed man. And in the midst of the festivities, and by peculiar coincidence, at the very stroke of 12, a little dog felt the desire to go outside. As if by some mysterious plan, the animal trotted straight to Nicholas Grieb's shallow grave. He dug feverishly, heaping a pile of moon-silvered earth behind him. Suddenly, he found something thin and hard with knobby knobs on the ends, the bone of Nicholas Grieb. I have entendre-laden jokes about my wife coming to bed, but I won't tell those right now. Here's the next page. You can see the whole spread. There's the carriage being horse-drawn, and the dog is hopping in the carriage, if you see him there. And look, he's got a bone with him. There's the couple that got out of the carriage to look at the moon. And it says, just as the dog started back with his prize, a carriage stopped in the middle of the road while the passengers alighted to gaze at the moon. The curious little dog scampered up to the carriage, climbed the steps, and slipped beneath a seat. Worn out from digging, he fell asleep. Presently, the people returned and into the carriage and rumbled off with passengers, dog, and bone. As they melted into the night, something luminous and white arose from the grave of Nicholas Grieb. It floated into the farmhouse, settled itself into a chair before the fire, and lifted its voice in a resonant moan. From this night forth, I quest, till all my bones together rest. And there is the family that was celebrating the 1-year anniversary of his death. And there is the ghost of Nicholas Grieb looking for his lost bone. It's a great ED story going on here behind the scenes, but we won't go there. So at once, everyone stopped toasting and began shrieking. They rushed to their carriages and rattled away, scattering down the dark country lanes like leaves before wild wind. Only Nicholas Grieb's frightened widow remained, and his unhappy ghost. So you can see there's Mrs. Grieb at the door watching everybody ride away, and there's the ghost of Nicholas Grieb at the window. And the next few scenes, you see different things going on at the farmhouse. It says, the ghost began to haunt the farm, looking for the lost bone. Its restless rambles took it from one corner of the place to another. Sometimes something unseen set hens fluttering upon their nests. Sometimes something caused the lids of the kitchen stove to rise as if by levitation. Sometimes an unearthly wind whined in the corn, and ceaseless wailing filled the night. Forevermore I quest, till all my bones together rest. So, while Nicholas Grieb, while his ghost searched in vain, the pilfered bone had begun a remarkable journey. The mysterious carriage made for Boston, clattered straight to the wharf. There, one of its passengers, a sea captain, boarded a whaler bound for the polar north, and right behind him went the little dog, holding fast to the bone all the while. Once aboard, he sniffed a few sniffs, found a good spot, and quickly hid his treasure. And there's the boat. There's the carriage that dropped off the sea captain, and there's the sea captain getting on board ship, and there's the little dog with the bone of Nicholas Grieb crawling on board the ship. Let's see. Next page. Just as the whaler was departing, the dog, sparked by the excitement, began dashing about the decks, barking. Great smacking flukes, cried a sailor. What's this? And he set the dog ashore. So ship sailed, but the dog remained, grieving for the bone, grieving like the ghost of Nicholas Grieb. And there's the dog who's been set ashore on the dock, and the boat making for the polar north. Only the dog no longer has the bone of Nicholas Grieb. Month after cold month passed. The whaler cut through the perilous waters of the Horn and sailed north, ever north toward Alaska. Strangely, on the entire voyage, not a trace of a single whale was seen, neither barnacle nor blow. Bored as blubber, one sailor searched for something to carve to pass the time. By oddest chance, or was it, he came upon an object tucked into a shadowy corner, something thin and hard with knobby knobs in the ends, the bone of Nicholas Grieb. The sailor decorated the bone with a scrimshaw ship, a present for his sweetheart, when once again they met. But that was not to be. For soon after, on a night ghostly with fog, the whaler struck an iceberg and sank like a stone. So there's the sailor having found the bone, and he carved some scrimshaw, but they hit the iceberg, and the walrus watched the ship sink into the depths. Sean Stroik, this is a great book. The very next day, there came a fisherman gliding silently on a large ice floe. By a fantastic fluke, he stopped just where the ship had gone down and flung out his net. Along with a mess of shiny fish, what else should he retrieve? Marvel of marvels, the bone of Nicholas Grieb. Sorely in need of supplies, he rushed to a trading post and exchanged the bone for goods. So the bone came to rest for the moment between bladder and floats and stacks of pelts. And here it is. There's the fisherman casting his net, and you can see way down over here, you can see the bone of Nicholas Grieb lodged in the net off of the shipwreck, and the fisherman up on the ice floe. So now the bone of Nicholas Grieb is in a shop, scrimshawed. Now all the time that the bone was traveling, the ghost still haunted the farm, day and night, night and day. And every year at the eve of the theft, it settled itself before the fire once again. Forevermore I quest, till all my bones forever rest, or together rust. And there's Nicholas Grieb sitting in his favorite chair in the house as year after year passed. By the way, it's the same voice I used for Nicholas Grieb when my kids were little, my older kids. 100 years passed in this way. Precisely 100 years. On a night like that other night so long ago, a great moon rose. Its pale light washed the trees a spectral white. Inside the farmhouse, a family was gathered. The son had returned to be married, a sailor home from the sea. From far off Alaska, he had brought a satchel full of gifts, which he had set down by the hearth. Just as the wedding began, a little dog snoozing by the fire awoke. He sniffed a few sniffs, made straight for the satchel, and began chewing happily. Soon he had chewed off the handle of the satchel. Look at the handle of the satchel. That looks an awful lot like a bone, doesn't it? He trotted it out. He trotted it outside, dug a hole, and quickly buried his prize, a thin, hard object adorned with a spidery scrimshaw ship and knobby knobs on the ends. Bought at a trading post to use as a handle, it had at last come home, the bone of Nicholas Grieb. And here is the outside of Nicholas Grieb's house, the little road, and the old graveyard. And there is the dog burying his prize. And look where he's burying that prize. Right into the grave of Nicholas Grieb. Suddenly, from nowhere and from everywhere at once, thunder clapped, lightning forked and flared, every lamp guttered as if blown by a bodiless breath, then flapping like an empty sleeve, the ghost appeared and declared, "This very hour I end my quest, my bones once more together rest," and saying so, was gone. Imagine your house full of guests, and an old ghost jumps up on a chair and starts singing praises for having found his bone. So there you go. The Nicholas Grieb has his bone back. Look at that happy face. Can you ever seen a ghost more happy than that? To have gotten his bone back. Boom. But this was not the end of the tale. Not long afterward, someone chanced to stroll through the graveyard and noticed something that to this day goes utterly unexplained. The angel on Nicholas Grieb's headstone had vanished, and in its place a little dog was carved into the stone, and in his mouth he held a bone. There you go. And that's the end of, and there's the satchel, of the ghost of Nicholas Grieb. So there you go, folks. Happy bedtime. A scary story. You're going to have to sleep with your lights on now. So, boy, the ghost story I'll share is similar to, says Matthew Sainsbury, it might be more intriguing as it may be historical. Cool. We'll look forward to that, Matthew. And Sean Stroik loved it. It's a good story, guys. If you got kids, get this book. Read it to them. I don't think you can find it in the stores anymore. This thing was published. I found this online for like $4. And it even had the undamaged dust jacket. So this came out in, I wonder if the date's on here. It's Penguin Books. It's a division of Penguin Books. 96, I think. That's when this came out. It was written by Tony Johnston and illustrated by S.D. Schindler. I've seen his work before, and I love his work. It's all this, I love this line work of his. If I hold this up again, you can see the line work. It's all pen and ink with light watercolor washes. Very cool stuff. So there you go. You guys have a nice $5.90 hardcover of Amazon. At Amazon, you can get this for $5.90 right now. Cool. Yeah, it was published, my God, it's got to be 20 years ago. My kids were little when I got the original book, and I don't think it was brand new then, although I think I found it in the bookstore. Let's see. Published in 1996. So what is that? 27 years ago? 26 years ago? Oh, look at this. There's a little sticker. This was the property of the Cayuga County Public Library. That's why I got it for like $4 online at Amazon. It was an old book that was turned in. So there you go. Oh, they put this on. Shows you the way the general public thinks. Look where they housed this book when it was in the library. The Halloween shelf. This is not a Halloween book. So, but that's where the uneducated about ghosts put these things. So it was the Cayuga County Public Library in, where did I say it was in Ohio? It's in Ohio somewhere. Oh, Parma, Ohio. Huh? Your mom's in Ohio. So there you go. Yeah, my dad's in Ohio. So you, before we go, I'm sure Rainey will stop over and say goodnight. She'll show her beautiful face. Yeah, probably. Yeah. You can come over. Why not? Do it for me. Look at me. I look tired too, and I got a red nose. And I'm here. Been here for an hour and a half. Yeah? I'll be on you. Ah! I can remedy that.
Shut up, Mr. Roberts.
Come here, Mrs. Roberts. Come here and make a quick cameo. I'll even turn this and tilt it up for you, so you can come and say hey. Here's my beautiful wife. There's the Rainy coming to say hi. She thinks she looks bad.
I look tired. Look at that. Oh,
You don't look tired. You look good.
that shadow. Your lights make me look like I have a dark spot.
Oh, here, I could turn it down a little bit.
Yeah.
There you go.
There
We'll just turn that away. There you go.
we go. That's still dark.
There you go.
Just look this way. Hey.
You look amazing.
Okay. I'm going to bed. I got kids yelling.
I love you. Well,
Love you
tell them
too.
to go to sleep.
Yeah, go to sleep, guys. It's bedtime. Scotty
Go to
just read
sleep.
you a book.
All right. See you in a bit.
I don't want your
I love you.
germs.
Yeah, I do.
I don't. Good night, everybody.
All right, guys. That's all I got for tonight.
Rolling.
Field guy says you never look bad. Thanks, he says. Sending you, Rainey, Ellery, and Flynn well. Positive vibes for Rowan's surgery. Thank you. 2 days from now, Wednesday. So, all right, guys. I'm out of here. I'm done. That's all I got left for today. You got to wake up early. Yeah, I do, kind of. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you for being here. And thanks for being part of the podcast, being here all the time. Appreciate it. Live long and prosper.